So we have a Dracast LED light here, which is not functioning, and my suspicion is that it has something to do with the power brick. As you can see, the power brick itself is getting power, and yet the light is not. And we'll detail that in just a moment. So yes, as you can see, the power brick is getting some power, but the light itself is not. So we're going to have a look at the power brick and figure out what the problem is. So we need to open up the power brick to get inside. Thankfully, this one is not sealed. It's actually accessible. And if we look at this end, which is the end with the lead that goes to the light, and this end, which is the lead that takes the power feed from the mains, we're going to remove some of these little rubber feet that you see in the corners and open it up. So I have used a spudger tool to remove the two little rubber stoppers, which are in the corners of the end, which connects to the power main. And that reveals a couple of screw heads, which we will remove to open up the body of the power brick. Okay, I have now removed the two screws from the holes here, and that allows us to pop open the power brick, which just opens up very simply. The top comes off, and this reveals the motherboard and the power components, which are on the other side. And now we're going to start searching for cold solder joints and figure out what's wrong with this. So I've had a look at the power brick internals here, and I've noticed that on the end where the power goes out to the actual light connector, we have a very loose, I don't know if you can see that there, it's a broken solder joint basically. It's completely detached from the board, and this is the solder joint that we're going to have to repair, and hopefully that will give us power back to the light again. So my first job is going to be to use my solder gun to actually melt this blob of solder off and get rid of that, so I can actually remove this wire through the board and clean things up and prepare to make a proper connection again. Okay, I've used my solder gun to melt that big blob of solder off and detach the wire from the board, and you can see the pad is there. It doesn't look too bad. There's the giant chunk of solder which came off. So we're going to just clean this area up, make sure it's nice and ready to receive some new solder. We're going to put the wire back through the board and resolder it to this pad and hopefully reestablish a good electrical connection. Okay, I have cleaned up the pad. I have run the wire back through the board, and I'm just going to now solder a new connection here, hopefully, and hopefully that will reestablish the electrical connection and fix the problem with this power brick. Okay, so I have now resoldered that connection. Just used the trusty old soldering gun here, and I applied some paste and cleaned the pad, and then resoldered that joint so that the wire is well connected. It's a nice solid joint now. There's no movement or anything. So now we're going to reassemble this and make sure that the light works now. Okay, so I have cleaned things up. I've reassembled the brick. We are now going to connect the light lead to the power brick, hook it up to the light, and make sure that everything's working again. Okay, we've repaired the power brick. I've connected the lead back onto the actual light unit, and we are now just going to flip the switch here and hope that it has fixed the problem. Bingo! Look at that, working like a charm. So there you go, cold solder joint, easy peasy fix. Fortunately, with the Dracast power block, it's not sealed. You can actually unscrew it and gain access to the interior, where the problem was just a simple cold solder joint, which just took like literally 5 minutes to repair, and we have this light working like brand new again. Thanks for watching.